Oh, Brandon. Yes, stand-in teacher who I can accurately mimic the voice of? Make a poster that illustrates a quote. Sure thing, Mr. the Teacher. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brand's Designs. You heard Stitch. I need to take a quote and make a poster out of it. Be that quote from Jesus or Hannibal Lecter. And it needs to be printed on a 5x7-inch poster. Now, whenever I'm given this much freedom over a project, nerdy things start to happen. I start to ask myself, what's my favorite quote from a movie? From a video game? From a song? What would be the best thing for me to do? And you all read the title to this video, so I'm sure there's no surprises. I went with Alice in Wonderland. With the surreal dreamscape that Wonderland is, I wanted to break down the quote in a literal way. Playing with the idea of a person being a puzzle, I had the idea of a bunch of jigsaw pieces spilling, but as they fall, we see them come together to form a glimpse of Our Lady of the Hour. Now, there were two parts to this project. The first part was drawing the girl. I can draw proportions and mix skin tone colors together, so this wasn't much of an issue for me. The only problem that I was having with it was that I was walking the line of uncanny valley, which basically means it looks almost realistic enough to be a real-life person, but it's not quite there. Although I wasn't super concerned about making her hyper-realistic, I didn't want anybody to think she looked creepy. And due to the unpredictable nature of Uncanny Valley, some people might say that she looks fine, while other people say she looks horrifying. And there was still step 2 to this, which I was hoping would get rid of the issue altogether. As I've said before, I wanted there to be falling jigsaw pieces to reveal the girl beneath the puzzle. And although jigsaw pieces are very distinct, I still need to think through all the possible shapes for them and create my own little puzzle. When placing them into the picture, I was very mindful of making sure that there were more middle pieces than there were side pieces, and definitely making sure that I wasn't using any more than 4 corner pieces. And wow, do I wish I had more synonyms to work with so I don't have to keep repeating the word pieces. I clustered the fragments more in her face, that way you can make out facial details. And apart from that, the scraps were more or less randomly placed in a spilling motion. And when I knocked those bits out, Uncanny Valley was completely gone. After I rewrote the quote in the fantasy font of my choice, I was done, and I had made a successful art fraction. When considering the vast imagination and endless possibilities of Wonderland, this poster felt a little bit empty, and although I could add a bunch of side characters off in the background, that would take away from the poster. You see, whenever you're working with such a small amount of wall space, you need to stick to big pictures so that you can understand it from further away. And this poster is pretty much perfect for that. When I presented it, I was asked, "Why did you make Alice look so different? I met her at Disneyland the other day, and she looks nothing like that." And to that I responded, "Eef." And while Stitch was on board with me at this point, the other students were harder to convince. I had to explain to them, the main reason that I made her darker was because it fit the color scheme better. And where Goldilocks would be super flashy, I wanted her appearance to be more subtle. The other reason that she looks so different is because I wasn't really trying to draw Alice to begin with. Despite having so many different renditions of the story, she's almost always a white girl with blonde hair. And as soon as you see that the quote comes from Wonderland, you already have a mental picture of her. So, who is this girl? Well, at first she's a little bit of a question mark, but as soon as your first impressions begin to settle, you start to notice that she's wearing a blue dress, or maybe it's a tank top, which connects the piece back to Alice, and maybe Alice is more than just a character. She's a blank slate that's fragile to change, trying to piece together an unsolvable puzzle. And everybody has been there. We have all been forced into situations where we question who we are. So, without making this piece overly complicated, I could only realistically draw one person to represent everyone, and I definitely wasn't going to waste that opportunity on a blonde girl, so this is what I came up with instead. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and if you need a graphic designer, my link's in the description. I wanted to wish you all a very merry unbirthday, and if today happens to be your actual birthday, then, well, I'm sorry, but maybe tomorrow will be better. And I will always love you. 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 I will always love. Oh, my cat jumped on top of me in the middle of that shot. I don't know what's with these cats. They love the Stitch voice.